Hello Patriots, this is Dr. Dawn. Today we're going to be talking about the hidden messages behind the mask and things that you may not know that I'm going to reveal to you. I am traveling, so I'm doing this from my hotel room, and I just had an experience in a store that I will also tell you about here in California. But first, let's talk about this push that we're seeing for people to wear masks. And it's mostly in blue states, in blue cities. And now it's almost every business that you walk into where signs will say either mandatory mask wearing, or it will say something like it's the law, but it isn't. And we went over that in my last video, especially if you're in California. It is a guidance. It is not mandatory, it is not a law, and you will not get arrested or go to jail if you don't wear a mask. Not to mention that if you're a store owner and somebody comes in and they say that they have a health issue and you're kicking them out of your store, you may be violating the ADA. And I actually have that information for you right here. Department of Justice ADA violation reporting number. I'm going to give that to you right now and you can write it down. It's 800-514-0301. And so if we don't start reporting these things and fighting back, we are all going to end up wearing masks for as long as they want us to wear masks. Think about this. In China, it's a communist country, and you see people walking around wearing masks because if they don't, they get probably thrown in jail or they get beaten up. Whatever happens to them, it's not pleasant. But in the United States, it is not a crime not to wear a mask. But what happens is once you have the I guess you would call sheep or the mob mentality who is enforcing it instead of the law, it can be a very painful process for many people, or a painful situation where people either are mocking you, which we saw that in New York, someone walking into a grocery store and literally being thrown out, or the experience I just had where I was told to leave a store even though I said that I have a health issue wearing a mask and I can't breathe. I was told that I should just leave their store. So we do have to fight back and make sure that you call the number and make sure that you say something. Because again, we're not China. And if we don't start fighting back, we're going to be China. So let's go into some of the hidden reasons, or if you've noticed over the past 2 weeks, this huge push. Biden just came out and said if he was president that he would make it mandatory. You see that Newsom came out a couple weeks ago. You see other people from other governors and other mayors from different cities and states that are now saying they want to make it mandatory. And you have to ask yourself why. Do masks really work? Especially considering that there is no specific type of mask. It could be a cloth, it could be a medical, it could be a bandana. So really the CDC came out in the beginning and said no, masks don't work. Then they came back and said to wear a mask. And then, as I stated in my last video when I read to you what the guidance said from Newsom, they basically said that they don't work against the coronavirus. So why are we wearing masks? Well, these are a couple of things that I think are important. Number one, there's a psychological aspect to this. When you walk around and you see people in a mask, it reminds you of the coronavirus. It also reminds you that people are sick. So it keeps it in the back of your mind because, again, when we see masks, we think of the medical community, doctors. The other thing that it does is it takes away half of your face. So literally, if you have a mask on, you can't read somebody's lips. You can't see if somebody is smiling. It really puts up this barrier between you and the other person. And so there's a certain amount of distancing. And if you notice, people aren't looking at each other in the eyes anymore. Of course, they're not smiling to one another. And so you have this idea where you're creating more distance. And Sometimes people don't even want to come out of their homes, or they don't want to go shopping simply because they just don't feel comfortable wearing a mask. So now you're creating a split in the environment. You're creating tension and problems where it doesn't need to be. One of the most, I think, insidious mask wearing problems is when you put it on kids. And I've been seeing this more and more where children are wearing masks. Now, what that does is it covers their face. If there is a problem, they can't scream for help. They can't say words. If there's a problem, if somebody is not their parent and they're wearing a mask, it's less likely that people are even going to notice them. Not to mention that even in the guidance, it's written that it could create suffocation in children that are 2 years and under, which it can also do that for kids that are older. Not to mention, it's making them feel that they're not well, that there's something wrong with them. And we all know that this virus really does not attack younger children. And so if children are not carrying this virus, why are we putting masks on their face, making them think that they're infecting other people? To me, that's almost a form of abuse. And psychologically, I don't think that's healthy at all. And so once they can get an entire community, an entire city, an entire state to follow this idea that they must be wearing masks, then what's next? Do we move from state to state? What else can they get us to do? I hear these phrases like, oh, if you don't wear a mask, you don't care. Really? Am I asking you to wear goggles on your eyes so that you don't leak out some fluid on your eyes and maybe, I don't know, somehow get the fluid because you don't care? I mean, when did that become an issue? When is it that I'm supposed to be doing something to protect their health? Okay? If they're not healthy, they should stay home. If you're not healthy, you should stay home. We should all take responsibility for ourselves. We're all individuals. But what they're trying to do is they're all making us feel like sheep. And really think about how you feel when you have to put a mask on. How does it make you feel? Do you feel empowered wearing a mask? A mask also throughout history have been a sign of submission. You put a mask on someone to make them submissive to you. You're their master and they are your servant. And so that's another way to say that the so-called elite, the governors, the mayors, the people in charge, you are subservient to them. You are no longer having the freedom, and they're supposed to be governing, not ruling, but it puts them in this type of a situation where they are basically ruling over you, dictating to you. And if you think that this mask situation is it, like they're going to get all of us to wear masks and we all comply, what do you think is coming next? So we have to fight back. We cannot allow this to continue because they want to bring a second wave of this virus out again. We already had terrible riots. We're still having them, but it seems that the virus doesn't affect those that are rioting. It just affects, people that have businesses that want to go about their day. It's those type of people that, have to wear the mask and the virus affects. Come on, guys. I mean, this is ridiculous. So anyway, I want to bring you this information today. I want to let you know that you can fight back. You do have rights. You should say something. And if you have a health issue or you have hearing impairment, you should stand up for your rights. And if somebody is not respecting that, you should call and report them because it should be a choice. If somebody wants to wear a mask, great, wear a mask. If someone doesn't want to wear a mask, then don't wear a mask. All right, guys. Have a great day. If you like my video, please share it, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel.